The silent threat. The message arrived on a Tuesday, buried in the quantum noise between stars. Dr. Samira Patel stood in the observation deck of Luna Base, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the approaching anomaly. What had started as a subtle disturbance in the background radiation of space had evolved into something far more troubling. "They're not just consuming the stars," she whispered, fingers tracing the path of destruction across the stellar map. "They're rewriting the laws of physics in their wake." The Nexarians, as they would come to be known, had already transformed 3 neighboring galaxies into vast energy networks. Their crystalline ships moved like geometric shadows through space, each vessel larger than Earth's moon. They didn't communicate, negotiate, or show any interest in conventional interaction. They simply arrived, converted all matter in a system into pure energy, and moved on. Admiral Jason Park stood beside her, his weathered face reflecting the blue glow of the holographic display. "How long do we have?" "At their current velocity, 8 months before they reach the outer edges of our solar system," Samira replied, pulling up another dataset. "The interesting part is their pattern. Look here." She gestured to a series of equations floating in the air. "They're not random. They're following some kind of mathematical sequence we haven't fully decoded yet." The Admiral's eyes narrowed. "And that helps us how?" "Because," Samira said, excitement creeping into her voice, "they're predictable. And anything predictable can be countered." The emergency meeting of the United Earth Council convened 3 hours later. Representatives from every nation gathered in the virtual chamber, their avatars floating in concentric circles around the central platform where Admiral Park stood. The usual political bickering had been replaced by an eerie silence as the data scrolled across their screens. Traditional military response would be futile, Park stated, his voice steady. "Our entire fleet wouldn't even register as a threat to their smallest vessel. However, Dr. Patel's team has discovered something unusual about their technology." Samira's avatar materialized beside him, and she began explaining the complex web of quantum interactions that govern the Nexarian ships. "They operate on principles we've only theorized about. Their vessels exist in a state of quantum superposition, allowing them to process and convert matter at the subatomic level. But this same advantage is potentially their greatest weakness." The council chamber erupted in murmurs as Samira revealed her proposal. Instead of building a fleet, they would construct a single ship. One vessel designed not to match the Nexarians in power, but to exploit the fundamental principles of their technology. "It's insane," the Chinese representative declared. "You want us to bet the survival of our species on one ship." "No," Samira corrected. "I want us to bet on human ingenuity. The Nexarians operate on pure logic, pure mathematics. But humans, we understand chaos. We thrive in it. We need to build a ship that doesn't just fight them. It needs to introduce an element they can't compute." As the debate raged on, a junior scientist named Raj Kumar made a discovery that would change everything. Hidden within the Nexarians' mathematical sequence was something impossible, a pattern that mimicked human brainwaves during creative thought. "They're not just consuming stars," he announced to the stunned council. "They're searching for something. And whatever it is, it looks remarkably like us." The council's decision was unanimous. Project Nightshade was approved, and humanity began its most ambitious endeavor yet. As construction began in the shipyards orbiting Mars, Samira couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't just building a weapon. They were creating an answer to a question the Nexarians had been asking across galaxies. The race against time had begun, and humanity's future would rest not on the size of their fleet or the power of their weapons, but on their ability to think differently than any species had before. Project Nightshade. The Mars shipyards had never seen anything like it. Against the rust-colored backdrop of the red planet, the U.S. Nightshade took shape like a shadow given form. Unlike the bulky warships that dominated Earth's fleet, this vessel was sleek, almost organic in its design, its hull composed of quantum-responsive materials that seemed to drink in light itself. Commander Rhea Patel walked through the ship's partially completed corridors, her footsteps echoing on the metallic floor. As both the vessel's designed captain and Samira's younger sister, she carried the weight of two worlds on her shoulders. The crew quarters were still being assembled around her, but the heart of the ship, its revolutionary quantum core, was already pulsing with potential. "The simulations are complete," Dr. Raj Kumar announced, falling into step beside her. Dark circles under his eyes betrayed countless sleepless nights, but his voice carried an undercurrent of excitement. "The quantum mimicry system works. We can match their state of superposition, but with one crucial difference." Rhea paused at a viewport, watching as construction drones swarmed around the ship's exterior. "Show me." Raj activated his holographic display, and a complex series of waveforms appeared between them. The Nexarians operate on pure quantum mathematics, perfect, predictable patterns. But we introduced what I call controlled chaos into our systems. It's like teaching a quantum computer to improvise jazz. "Will it be enough?" Rhea asked, thinking of the approaching crystalline fleet. "It has to be," Raj replied softly. "We've built something they've never encountered before, a ship that can think like them, but act like us." The next 3 months were a blur of preparations and innovations. The Nightshade's crew was handpicked from every nation on Earth, each member chosen not just for their expertise, but for their ability to think creatively under pressure. Lieutenant Zara Chen, the quantum navigation specialist who could plot courses through probability itself. Chief Engineer Marcus Santos, whose intuitive understanding of the ship's systems bordered on the supernatural. Communications Officer Aidan O'Neill, whose background in both xenolinguistics and chaos theory made him uniquely qualified to interpret the Nexarians' mathematical language. The breakthrough came during a routine test of the ship's defensive systems. Zara had been running simulations of Nexarian attack patterns when she noticed something odd in the data. "Their formations," she exclaimed, bursting into the command center where Rhea and Raj were reviewing equipment manifests. "They're not just tactical positions. They're expressions of quantum states. Look." The holographic display filled with overlapping patterns that looked like abstract art. "Each ship in their fleet maintains a specific quantum relationship with the others," Zara explained, her hands dancing through the projection. "It's like they're all parts of one giant quantum computer. But that means they're vulnerable to entanglement cascades," Raj finished, his eyes widening. "If we can disrupt one ship's quantum state, we can affect their entire network," Rhea concluded. "This is it. This is how we fight them." As the launch date approached, the final pieces of the plan fell into place. The Nightshade wasn't just equipped with conventional weapons, though its quantum torpedoes and probability cannons were revolutionary in their own right. Its true power lay in its ability to introduce uncertainty into the Nexarians' perfectly ordered universe. The night before launch, Rhea stood in the ship's completed bridge, running her hand along the captain's chair. The neural interface would connect her directly to the ship's quantum systems, allowing her to react with impossible speed to the Nexarians' attacks. It was a level of integration never before attempted, and the risks were enormous. "You know," Samira's voice came from behind her, "when we were kids, you always said you wanted to dance among the stars." Rhea turned to face her sister. "I don't think this is quite what I had in mind." "Maybe not," Samira smiled, though her eyes were serious. "But you're still going to dance. You're going to show them a performance they've never seen before." As the sisters embraced, alarms began blaring throughout the shipyard. Admiral Park's voice crackled over the comm system. "The Nexarians have accelerated. They'll reach Pluto's orbit in 48 hours. Rhea pulled back, meeting her sister's gaze. "Time to see if our jazz improvisations can compete with their crystal symphony." The launch countdown began, and as the Nightshade's quantum core hummed to life, humanity held its breath. They had built something unprecedented, a ship that was equal parts science and art, logic and intuition. Now they would discover if it was enough to save not just Earth, but perhaps the Nexarians themselves from their endless, searching consumption of the cosmos. The quantum dance. The Nightshade emerged from quantum slipstream near Pluto's orbit, its dark hull almost invisible against the backdrop of space. Through the neural interface, Raya felt every system of the ship as if they were extensions of her own body. The sensation was overwhelming, yet oddly natural, like learning to walk in a dream. Multiple contacts, Zara announced, her fingers dancing across the quantum sensing array. Nexarian vessels emerging from subspace. Count is 37 capital ships, each approximately the size of Earth's moon. The crystalline fleet materialized like a geometric constellation, their ships forming perfect mathematical patterns in space. Through the Nightshade's advanced sensors, Raya could see the complex web of quantum relationships connecting each vessel, pulsing with energy that defied conventional physics. "They're beautiful," Marcus whispered from his engineering station, watching as the crystalline ships began their approach. In a terrifying sort of way. Aiden's voice cut through the tension. "Receiving transmission, if you can call it that. It's pure mathematics, but there's something different about it. Almost like a question," Rhea finished, feeling the patterns through the ship's sensors. "They're asking what we are." The Nightshade hung motionless as the first Nexarian vessel approached, its crystalline surface refracting starlight in impossible ways. The ship was easily 1,000 times larger than their vessel, its very presence distorting the fabric of space-time. "Ready quantum mimicry systems," Rhea commanded, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. "Let's show them our answer." The Nightshade's quantum core pulsed, and suddenly the ship existed in multiple states simultaneously, matching the Nexarians' own quantum nature. But where their patterns were rigid and predictable, the Nightshade's quantum state flowed and shifted like water, introducing elements of controlled chaos into the perfect mathematical harmony of their formation. The effect was immediate. The nearest Nexarian ship faltered, its crystal structure vibrating as it attempted to process this new variable. The quantum web connecting it to the other vessels fluctuated, sending ripples of uncertainty through their entire network. "They're responding," Zara reported, excitement creeping into her voice. "Their formation is shifting to compensate, but they can't predict our next state." Raya felt the ship's systems singing through her neural link as she guided the Nightshade through a series of impossible maneuvers, each movement introducing more chaos into the Nexarians' carefully ordered universe. It was like leading a dance where every step rewrote the laws of physics. The crystalline fleet's response was both beautiful and terrifying. Their ships began to move in new patterns, attempting to isolate and contain the Nightshade's influence. Beams of pure energy lanced through space, each shot calculated with perfect mathematical precision. But precision was exactly what made them vulnerable. "Quantum torpedoes, full spread," Rhea ordered. "Target their connecting nodes." The Nightshade's weapons were unlike anything humanity had created before. Instead of traditional explosives, they fired packets of quantum uncertainty, designed to disrupt the perfect mathematical harmony that kept the Nexarian ships functioning. The torpedoes struck home, and for a moment, space itself seemed to hold its breath. Then, like a cascade of falling dominoes, the quantum disruption spread through the Nexarian fleet's network. Ships began to flicker and phase, their crystal structures struggling to maintain coherence as chaos infected their perfect systems. "They're adapting," Marcus shouted from engineering. "The quantum core is reading massive energy spikes from their fleet." The Nexarian response came in the form of a concentrated blast of energy that would have vaporized any conventional vessel. But the Nightshade wasn't conventional. Through her neural link, Raya felt the attack coming and reacted with impossible speed, shifting the ship into a quantum state that caused the energy beam to pass through them harmlessly. "Send the signal now," she commanded Aiden, "while their network is disrupted." The message they transmitted wasn't in words or even normal mathematics. It was a complex quantum equation that Samira and Raj had developed, one that expressed not just information but emotion, creativity, and most importantly, choice. For several tense moments, nothing happened. The Nexarian fleet hung in space, their crystal surfaces rippling with conflicting patterns. Then, slowly, the mathematical language flowing from their ships began to change. "They're responding," Aiden announced, his voice filled with wonder. "But it's different now. The patterns, they're evolving, becoming less rigid, more like music," Ria whispered, feeling the change through the ship's sensors. "They're learning to improvise." The bridge of understanding. Through the neural interface, Raya felt the shift in the Nexarians' quantum patterns before the ship's sensors could detect it. Their rigid mathematical sequences were evolving, incorporating elements of randomness and creativity that had been absent before. The crystalline fleet's formation changed, no longer a perfect geometric pattern, but something more organic, almost fluid. "Their energy signatures are transforming," Marcus reported from engineering, his voice filled with awe. "It's like they're rewriting themselves." The largest of the Nexarian vessels, a behemoth of shifting crystal and light, moved closer to the nightshade. Instead of the overwhelming sense of threat they had felt before, Ria sensed something different through the quantum link: curiosity. "New transmission incoming," Aiden announced. I've never seen anything like this." The mathematical patterns are integrating emotional variables. They're trying to communicate on our level. Raj, who had insisted on being part of the mission, despite his role as a scientist rather than a crew member, worked furiously at his console. "The patterns match what we found in human brainwaves. They're not just mimicking us, they're trying to understand us." Through the neural interface, Raya felt a presence brush against her consciousness. The sensation was alien yet somehow familiar, like recognizing a reflection in a fractured mirror. Images and concepts flooded her mind. Endless journeys through space, the consumption of stars and planets, but not for destruction, for understanding. "They're not invaders," she gasped, the realization striking her like a physical force. "They're scholars. They've been searching the universe for something they lost: the ability to create, to imagine, to evolve." The Nexarian vessel projected a series of complex quantum equations into space, but these were different from their previous communications, where before their mathematics had been perfect and unchanging. Now they contain variables, possibilities, questions. "They're showing us their history," Raj interpreted, his fingers flying over his console. "Their species evolved to a point of perfect mathematical efficiency, but they lost something in the process: the chaos that drives creativity and growth. They've been consuming solar systems not to destroy them, but to analyze them, looking for the spark of randomness they lost." Zara's voice was barely a whisper. "And they found it in us, in human consciousness." The Nightshade's quantum core pulsed in response to the Nexarians' revelation, its controlled chaos resonating with their newfound understanding. Through the neural link, Ria guided the ship in a complex dance around the crystal vessels, each movement a demonstration of humanity's unique blend of logic and intuition. "We need to show them more," she decided. "Aiden, prepare to transmit our entire cultural database: art, music, literature, everything that makes us human." "But the quantum bandwidth required," Marcus began, "will be massive." "Yes," Ria finished, "but they can handle it. More importantly, they need it." The transmission began, and the effect on the Nexarian fleet was immediate and stunning. Their crystalline surfaces began to ripple with colors never before seen in their species, their quantum patterns incorporating the chaos and creativity of human expression. Through her neural link, Raya felt their response: a mixture of joy, wonder, and something akin to gratitude. The Nexarians had found what they had spent eons searching for: not just the mathematical formula for creativity, but the living proof that perfect order and beautiful chaos could coexist. "They're sending something back," Aiden announced. It's their own creation, a synthesis of their mathematics and our artistic expression." The space between the ships lit up with a display that defied description: quantum equations that danced like aurora borealis, mathematical proofs that sang like symphonies. It was a bridge between two vastly different ways of understanding the universe, built from the best of both species. As the crew of the Nightshade watched in wonder, Rhea realized they had achieved something far greater than a military victory. They had helped an ancient species rediscover its soul, and in doing so, perhaps expanded humanity's understanding of their own place in the cosmos. Symphony of Stars. The transformation of the Nexarian fleet over the next 72 hours became a spectacle that would be remembered throughout human history. Their crystalline ships, once perfect geometric forms, now displayed ever-changing patterns that combine mathematical precision with artistic expression. The rigid quantum network that had connected their vessels evolved into something more dynamic, a living web of creativity and calculation. "We're receiving requests for cultural exchange from every ship in their fleet," Aiden reported, his communication systems nearly overwhelmed by the volume of transmissions. "They're particularly fascinated by human music, something about the mathematical patterns in harmony combined with emotional expression." The Nightshade had become a bridge between two civilizations, its quantum core serving as a translator between human creativity and Nexarian mathematics. Through the neural interface, Rhea experienced their evolution firsthand, feeling the joy of discovery rippling through their quantum network. "Look at this," Raj called out, projecting a holographic display that showed the Nexarians' energy consumption patterns. "They're completely rewriting their basic functions. Instead of consuming star systems, they're learning to draw energy from quantum fluctuations themselves. They're becoming creators rather than consumers." The largest Nexarian vessel, which they now knew was called the Pattern Seeker, moved alongside the Nightshade. Its crystalline surface had transformed from rigid geometry into flowing curves that seemed to dance with light. Through the quantum link, it shared images of countless civilizations it had encountered and analyzed over millennia, searching for the spark of creativity they had lost. "They want to make amends," Rhea announced, interpreting the complex quantum equations flowing through her neural interface. "They're offering to help restore the systems they consumed, using their new understanding to create rather than convert." Marcus whistled low from his engineering station. "The power required to restore entire star systems, it's astronomical. But with their quantum manipulation abilities combined with their new creative potential, they could do it," Zora finished. "They could literally rebuild galaxies." The revelation of the Nexarians' true nature and their transformation spread throughout Earth's communications networks. What had begun as a mission to save humanity had evolved into something far more profound: the redemption of an ancient species and the birth of a partnership that would reshape the galaxy. Through the quantum link, the Nexarians shared their greatest gift, the mathematical principles behind their technology, but now infused with human creativity. The combination would revolutionize human understanding of the universe, offering possibilities that neither species could have achieved alone. "They're proposing a joint mission," Rhea announced to her crew. "A journey to the galaxies they once consumed, working together to restore and rebuild. They want the Nightshade to lead the way." The message that reached Earth's United Council was clear. The Nexarians had found more than the spark of creativity they sought. They had found partners in the grand dance of cosmic creation. The threat of galactic terror had transformed into an opportunity for unprecedented cooperation and growth. As the Nightshade prepared for its new mission, Rhea stood on the bridge, watching the transformed Nexarian fleet through the viewscreen. Their crystalline ships now moved like a celestial ballet, each motion a perfect blend of mathematics and artistry. "You know," Zora said softly, "when we first built this ship, we thought we were creating a weapon. Instead, we built a bridge." Raj nodded, still analyzing the streams of data flowing from the Nexarian vessels. "Sometimes the greatest victories come not from defeating an enemy, but from helping them find what they've lost." Through the neural interface, Rhea felt the pulse of both human and Nexarian consciousness, two different songs merging into one greater symphony. The universe stretched before them, not as a battlefield, but as a canvas waiting for the combined artistry of both species. "Plot a course for the first restoration site," she commanded, feeling the ship's quantum core harmonize with the Nexarian fleet. "It's time to show the galaxy what happens when mathematics learns to dance with chaos." The Nightshade led the transformed fleet into quantum slipstream, their combined energy signatures painting new constellations across the fabric of space-time. They had not just averted a war. They had pioneered a new way of existing in the universe, where the precision of perfect mathematics could coexist with the beautiful unpredictability of creative thought. The story of humanity's encounter with the Nexarians would be told across countless worlds, not as a tale of conflict, but as a reminder that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe is the ability to help others rediscover their forgotten dreams.